Choosing yourself is a radical act when you've been conditioned to believe your worthiness comes from external success. Let's talk about it. This week I've been diving deeper into when do you know it's time to make a big change, what happens when you make a big change, and then I've been talking about my personal journey at the beginning of the year where I decided to walk away from my multi-six-figure dollar business that I built up over the years to choose myself. Why did I do that? Because my ego was running the show. I was very much hooked on how big I could get the company, how much more money I could pull in. I was focused on figures, I was focused on numbers, I was focused on followers. And in all of that, I'd lost my authenticity, I'd lost my alignment with myself, and I'd become really disconnected from my inner wisdom, my GPS, my soul. And this is what happens with highly successful women. We get really disconnected and we live up in our minds. We start to intellectualize everything. And when we intellectualize everything, we live in our heads, we let our ego lead. And our ego wants to find the linear path. It wants all the answers and it wants them now. Nothing is ever good enough. So we spike into all our wounded pieces of our psyche. So that perfectionist, the people pleaser, the good girl. I knew all of this was happening. I was burning out. I was hustling. I was working harder. I had lots of different ailments on my body. And also I was, more than that, I was really snappy. I wasn't sleeping very well. And I was just putting this tremendous amount of pressure on myself. And so yesterday I talked about the unknown. When we make the decision, we're going to be dropped into the unknown. Because when we choose our guidance, when we choose to be connected to ourselves, when we choose to stop abandoning ourselves, because that's what I was doing, we are connected back to our inner knowing, our guidance, but it will take some time to clear out the debris of being disconnected. So today what I'm going to share is more on the three things that I did differently when I made this big decision, because that was the thing that went through my head. I was like, you've decided to walk away. You cannot do what you've always done. And so the things that I've always done when I've made a big decision is I've pushed, I've cajoled, I've forced my way forward, I've rushed, I haven't given myself a time, and I've just kind of like grasped onto the next thing so I can be doing. Now, there's a side note in this. I learned really early on when I was a little girl that my worthiness came from doing. My worthiness came from doing. So, which this leads me beautifully into the first thing that I did different. There's three things that I did different. So the first thing was I actually gave myself time off. I closed down the business. I said, you can take a rest. I've never rested. I've never given myself any time off since I was 18 when I started my first business. It was a novelty to me. This was really unusual. And at the beginning, I was like, well, what do I do? It was really, really uncomfortable. And I wanted to do things. I wanted to find something to do, to solve, to build another business, because that's what I've always done. I've always created another business and another business, another business. And I knew that if I did that, I wouldn't learn anything different. So what I was teaching myself by this enforced rest, I don't like that word enforced, but it was like, no, you're going to rest and you're going to learn how uncomfortable it is to rest, Miss Star Monroe, is I knew that if I settled into this, and I allowed myself to be uncomfortable with resting, be uncomfortable with not doing, I would give myself more space. Space is one of my medicines. And I would slowly recalibrate my nervous system to welcome in rest. to know that rest is safe, that we don't have to keep doing. Remember the first month when I stopped, I just kept doing, I kept running around, and now I notice how much easier and slower I'm moving through my life. Oh, it's so nice. It's so nice. The faster I go, the more disconnected I am. The slower I go, the more connected I am. And the way it's filtering through, it's like I'm slowing down how I'm eating. I slow down my mornings. I slow down my gym workouts. I go for a bike ride nearly every single day, and I slowly bike ride. I'm like driving Miss Daisy. I just do things slowly. When I'm in the car driving somewhere, I'm like, I'm going to take my time. And it's just all the time I'm doing this, I'm choosing slowness. It's like I'm recalibrating myself. I'm like, it's okay. We can have a slow life. And this comes from years of me always like doing more, going faster. So that's the first thing I did different. The second thing I did different, I hired someone. I hired a mentor to hold me whilst I unraveled from all of this, because I'm highly independent. I was hyper independent, and I'm like, I can do this, I can get this done, no problem, I'm fine. But I was like, no, you're not doing that. You're going to hire someone, and you are going to hire that person to hold you through this, and you are going to share all of your fears, all of your vulnerabilities to this person, so we can navigate them together. I mean, I'm a super self-aware person. I'm a psychotherapist, right? So I therapize myself all the time. But the fact that I hired someone and I shared my vulnerabilities on a daily basis was transformative, because once they were out and they were between us in the ethers, I no longer carried them. There was something about this whole intention about being held. It's like I can lean on this person as I'm like, don't know what I'm doing, as I'm in this unknown position. And so that was, for me, that was super helpful. And also it mirrors my work. What I'm here to do with my clients is I hold my clients. And I was like, if you don't know how to be held, how the fuck are you going to hold your clients? One of my values is honesty, and so me being honest with my mentor every single day really helpful in me being deeply connected back to me. And the third thing I did was give myself time and a lot more space to be able to process through all of this, which ties into the time off as well, and to make a small decision or a small adjustment and then come back and reflect upon it and go, is this working for me? How do I feel about this? Rather than actioning like 10 steps and plowing forward. This requires a lot more patience. Patience requires patience. But in the process of me giving myself time, because the unfolding of our journey takes time, we cannot rush it. You practice the art of self-trust, you practice the art of faith, and also you build a trust bond with yourself. This is the act of choosing yourself and the willingness to see your inherent worth rather than basing your worth on external markers of success.